When someone says it's raining cats and dogs, do you think it literally means that cats and dogs are pouring from the sky? Or when someone says the test is a piece of cake, do you think a delicious cake will be served instead of your exam? That would be fun, but these sentences should not be taken literally, for they are what we call idiomatic expressions. Hi, I am Teacher Shira, and welcome to our English class. Today, we are going to learn how to infer meaning of idiomatic expressions. Before we begin our lesson for today, don't forget to subscribe on my channel. Ring the notification bell for more updates. Like, share, and comment in this video. Because learning is bliss, learn with Teacher Shira. Now let us define what are idiomatic expressions. Idiomatic expressions, or what we also call as idioms, are phrases which mean something different from the meanings expressed of the words that are part of it. Its meaning will only be understood when taken as a whole or when used in context. We cannot understand the meaning of the expression by the literal interpretation of its words. In our previous lesson, we have learned that the language can be literal or figurative. Remember that idioms falls in our figurative category. As an example, we have here the idiom play by ear. It doesn't mean to say that when we hear the idiom play by ear, a person is actually playing the instrument using his ear. This is wrong. This is a literal translation. Since play by ear is figurative, which is an idiom, it actually means to play music without looking at the notes. Here are some examples of commonly used English idioms. Before we read these examples, let me remind you that there is no certain technique on how you are going to memorize all the idiomatic expressions in the English language because that would be too many. For me, the best way for you to familiarize yourself with idioms is first to read a book. Second, you can actually watch movies or English movies to familiarize yourself with its use. And third, and the best way, is for you to use it in your daily conversation for it to be a part of your vocabulary. Now let's read some of these examples. We have here blind date, which means a date where two people have never met before. Get along with means to have a good relationship with someone. Kick the bucket means die. Oddball means a weirdo or a strange person. Knee-jerk reaction is a quick and automatic response. Hang in there. Maybe you have heard this a lot. It means don't give up. Pull yourself together. This is also a common idiomatic expression which means to calm down. So far so good, which means things are going well so far. Down to earth, which means sensible and realistic. It can also mean humble. Curiosity killed the cat. Being too curious can get you into trouble. 9 Elvis has left the building. It means the show has come to an end and it's all over. 2 last straw. The final problem in a series of problems. Joined at the hip. It means to be exceptionally close to someone. Elbow grease means a hard physical effort. This is effort. 40 winks means a short nap. Barrel of laugh means someone who is very funny. Old as the hills means someone who is very old. In the doghouse means to have some unhappy with you. Up for grabs means available for anyone. Split hairs means argue or worry about small details. Round the bend means crazy or insane. See eye to eye means to concur or agree. Break a leg, this is also a very common idiomatic expression. It means good luck. Ball is in your court means it's up to you to make the next decision or step. Number 25, we have here barking up the wrong tree. Maybe you have heard this a lot too. It means looking in the wrong place. 26, we have be glad to see The back off which means be happy when a person leaves. Against the clock means rushed and short on time. Don't judge a book by its cover is also a very common idiomatic expression, which means to say don't judge something primarily by its appearance. Thanks to means to, due to. And we have here ball is in your court again, which means it's up to you to make the next decision or step. Again, I have to remind you that there is no certain way or technique on how you are going to memorize all the idiomatic expression in the English language. Because again, they are so many, so the best technique that we can do is to use it as part of our vocabulary or in our writings. Now let us test if we can identify the meaning of an idiomatic expression if we use it in a context. Let's try this. I have here an example sentence with an idiomatic expression underlined, and I want you to identify its meaning using the context or how it is used in the sentence. Let's have number 1. You've got to have some work experience under your belt before you can hope to get a stable job. What do you think is the meaning of the word under your belt using the sentence or the clues that we can find within the sentence? I'm giving you 5 seconds to choose from the choices that we have here. Letter A, have gained a lot of friends from high places who can help you get a job. Letter B, have acquired experience or have satisfactorily achieved something. Letter C, have attained more talent to manipulate interview results. Or letter D, have obtained enough financial resources to unwind. Again, 5 seconds starts now. To have work experience under your belt means letter B, have acquired experience or have satisfactorily achieved something. Of course, because you are trying to apply to a job, meaning to say you have to have prior experience under your belt. So that is the meaning of this idiomatic expression used in a context. Let us now have number 2. Let's have number 2. This is the example sentence. Now here's the week's quiz. It's time to put your thinking caps on. What do you think is the meaning of thinking caps on or put your thinking caps on? Is it A, to feel bombarded and heavy with a difficult task? B, to solve a problem or create an idea by thinking? C, to consider with much deliberation? Or letter D, to think with deep meditation. 5 seconds starts now. Okay, put your thinking caps on when there is a quiz means to say you have to think with deep meditation or to make a review. Because of course there will be a quiz. Later we will be having one, so put your thinking caps on. Let's now have number 3. Black gold is primarily found in Middle East. What does black gold means? Is it illegal money? Is it B, camel? Letter C, sand? Or letter D, oil? The answer to this question is letter D, oil. Of course, we know that the Middle East is actually one of the biggest source of oil in the whole world, and we define it as black gold in an idiomatic way or figurative way. Now let us try some application. I have here 3 idiomatic expressions: commit to memory, bury the hatchet, and cry over spilled milk. Commit to memory means to learn by heart. Bury the hatchet means to forgive and forget. And cry over spilled milk means useless regrets. So what I wanted you to do is to actually use this into sentences and then comment your sentences down below. You can pause in this part if it will take you time to answer these questions. And again, don't forget to comment your answers in the comment section down below. Now let's move on with more activities. This is the direction that we have. Determine the meaning of the bolded expression and you have to choose the best answer. So for each number, I will be giving you 5 seconds to answer. And then after we have answered all the questions, we will be checking your work. Are you ready to start? Let's begin with number 1. So I will be flashing each questions and will be giving you 5 seconds to answer this. If you needed more time or if the time of 5 seconds is not sufficient for you to read and answer each questions, you can pause the video. Now let's have number 2. Again, if the time for answering is not enough for you or if I am moving too fast with the questions, you can pause the video. Now we have the last 2 straws. Number 4. And now for last number, number 5. Now let's see if you have answered all the questions correctly. Let us check your work and be honest. Let's have number 1. After going to the zoo, the mall, and the movies, Cassie was sick of bending over backwards to entertain her nieces. What does bending over backwards means as used in this context or sentence? Is it A, Cassie was doing very little to entertain her nieces? B, Cassie was making small efforts to entertain her nieces? C, Cassie was trying very hard to entertain her nieces? Or letter D, Cassie was not trying at all to entertain her nieces? The answer here is letter C. Bending over backwards means to say that you are doing a full effort. Now let's move on to number 2. Bobby would have been playing ball until the cows came home if it hadn't been for Susie dragging him home for dinner. Is it A, Bobby was just about to stop playing ball? B, Bobby didn't even want to play ball to begin with? Letter C, Bobby prefers nature to athletics? Or letter D, Bobby would have continued playing ball for a long time? Until the cows came home means Bobby would have continued playing ball for a long time, or letter D. Meaning to say you don't want to stop what you are currently doing. Now let's have number 3. Mr. Johnson was very particular about the arrangement of his classroom. So the thing he hated most was when his students caused ruckus and play wild horseplay. Is it A, Mr. Johnson hated when his students pretended to be animals? B, Mr. Johnson hated when his students played sports? Letter C, Mr. Johnson hated when his students wrestled around with each other? Or letter D, Mr. Johnson hated when his students made animal noises? The idiomatic expression horseplay means Mr. Johnson hated when his students wrestle around with each other, or they are being playful to each other, that the arrangement of his classroom is being disturbed. Now let's have number 4. Eric wanted to fix his cousin's computer, but he was already having problems setting up his aunt's Wi-Fi network, and he didn't want to open a whole new can of worms. What does this mean? Is it A, Eric was sick of spending his time helping his family? B, Eric wanted to go fishing instead of working on computers? C, Eric was having difficulties untangling the computer wires? Or letter D, Eric was not ready to begin working on a complicated new problem? The answer here is pretty obvious. It's letter D. Opening a whole new can of worms, meaning to say you are trying to include yourself or to put yourself into another trouble. For the last number, we have number 5. Even though Candace already had a new job, she submitted her 2-week notice and conducted herself in a professional way at her old job because she didn't want to burn bridges. What does this mean? Is it A, Candace didn't want to ruin her positive relationship with her old employer? Letter B, Candace wasn't ready to start a new job or her new job? C, Candace was really going to miss her old job? Or letter D, Candace was waiting until her last day to rub it in everyone's face that she was leaving? Okay, the answer to this is letter A. Candace didn't want to ruin her positive relationship with her old employer, because to burn bridges means to put out a connection to your to a previous relationship that you had. And since Candace didn't want to do that, it means to say that she doesn't want to ruin her positive relationship with her old employer or with the old job that she has. Okay, so I hope we are quite clear with that. Now, I hope you are able to get all the answers correctly. Here are the answers once again. Number 1 is letter C, 2 is letter D, 3 is letter C, 4 is letter D, and 5 is letter A. That will be all, my dear learners. Thank you for listening to another fruitful English class with Teacher Shira. See you again next time.